Run Disney and the Dopey Challenge, a review of the new marathon course. Today, that and more on the Do Hard Things Today podcast. Hal Morris, 1 year, man.
1 year today.
1 year today. We have been in the podcast world. How much? We're 11,000 people, right?
11,000 downloads.
Wow, 11,000.
Yeah, we're May 31st, 2020.
Who would have thunk it, man? Who would have thunk it, man? We have a great group of you guys out there in our community. We love being able to put these podcasts out, bringing inspiring people on, and hopefully sharing some inspiration with you guys. Today, we are talking about Run Disney and the Dopey Challenge. We are, this past year, made number 7 for me on the Dopey Challenge. But there was a brand new marathon course. So we're going to be talking about that, talking about some of the things you need to be doing. And we're actually going to do a series. These our Dopey podcasts have been very well received. So we're going to do a series. We're going to release one of these every month. This one is going to drop sometime at the beginning of June. And so the beginning of each month, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, leading all the way up into January, when the Dopey Challenge actually ends. We're going to do a podcast every month that's going to give you just some more information, some more encouragement, hopefully for you, for those of you that are taking on this challenge. There'll be some accountability there. Also, I've got a request in. I'm hoping that Jeff Galloway is going to come on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
He's the Run Walk Run guy.
Jill would be very excited on that.
She's a big Jeff Galloway fan. I'm thinking that we may be able to pull that off, and I'll be able to interview him about what Run Walk Run is and his involvement with Disney for years and years. And now his daughter is actually involved in the Run Disney races and things as well. So a lot of stuff going on. How about you, Hal? How's things going with you? Still training for half Ironman?
I think whenever I hear about our cancelization,
yep,
I just train harder.
Yeah,
I looked at my May stats on Strava, and mileage and time-wise, it's one of my top months.
Wow.
So I think it just pisses me off, and I just train harder.
Yeah, just train harder, man.
Yeah.
Just train harder. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? So, all right, let's get into it. We're going to talk the first of this series. We're going to talk about some of the changes, and we really just want to talk a little bit about what you need to be doing now and then moving forward.
Okay, so tell us what is the Dopey Challenge?
Dopey Challenge, just like it sounds, it's a Dopey Challenge. It is. We are in year 7 of the Dopey Challenge. There's a lot of Run Disney events that are going on, and they put on some great running and endurance events. The crown jewel is Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend. That's usually the end of the first week or second week of January, and there are now 4 races you can participate in. They have a 5K on on Thursday. They have a 10K on Friday. They have a half marathon on Saturday, and then it culminates with the marathon on Sunday. Okay, they started the Goofy Challenge, which we just had the 15-year anniversary of the Goofy Challenge. And what the Goofy Challenge is you can go down and you can run 2 races. You can run the half marathon on Saturday and then the full marathon on Sunday. And 7 years ago, this past January, they started the Dopey Challenge. And what the Dopey Challenge is it's all 4 races. It's you run the 5K Thursday, 10K Friday, half marathon on Saturday, and then full marathon on Sunday, and they call it the Dopey Challenge.
So if you're completing the Dopey, you're completing the Goofy as well.
Yep. I've actually got on one of my Minnie Mouse 10K shirts from 2018 as we record this, and you end up with 6 medals, You get a medal for every race,
Mm-hmm.
plus you get the Goofy Challenge medal, plus you get the Dopey Challenge medal. Yeah, so you end up with a lot of hardware and a lot of shirts. I actually pulled this shirt out today because I've got so many of these shirts. I've got 42 of these shirts.
42 T-shirts.
Yeah, 42 T-shirts just from doing the Dopies. And I did the Goofies 3 years before that, so I've got more than 42. I got a lot of these shirts, and so that's what the Dopey Challenge is. And I am what you call a perfect Dopey, and I think there are, gosh, let's see, I wrote that number down, but it's under 500. I think somewhere around 460 perfect Dopies left. Those who've done the Dopey Challenge, yeah.
All 7.
Yeah, all 7
so far.
So that's the Dopey Challenge. And I know there's we're going to talk a little bit about, and I'll go ahead and address it now. Man, everything sold out in just a matter of a couple of hours for this. I had some people in a couple of the Facebook groups I'm in with the Dopey Challenge and some of the other Run Disney. A lot of speculation as to why did it sell out so fast. And while we don't have the official numbers of how many people registered, I think there's probably a combination of things. Number one, I think there's a lot of pent-up demand because a lot of races have been canceled. A lot of Disney races have been canceled. So
yeah.
I think people look out and see that January date and they think, okay, there's probably a pretty good chance that the race will happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then number two, I got to imagine that Disney has pretty drastically reduced the number of entrants because Marathon Weekend, there's been upwards of 25,000 people running in the half marathon or the full marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So with the pandemic, the social distancing, those kind of things, I got to imagine that there's been some reduction in numbers. Now, could that change? I think depending on what happens in the fall with the numbers, if we have another spike with the coronavirus, I think, again, I got no inside information on this, but I think some registrations will open up later.
Okay.
I think they were very conservative. Yeah. I think there will be some opportunities to register later. Again, no inside information on that. That's my feeling with what we got. And just on a different side note, man, my Disney trip got canceled. We were supposed to be going in 2 weeks, and they're officially not opening back up to the middle of July. So our trip got canceled. But
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in July.
Yeah, I think it's July 11th maybe.
Yeah.
That they're going to be opening back up. So
okay, so changes to the marathon course. What you know about that?
Yeah, man, big changes. There were. I just want to real quickly, for those of you who are veterans, or maybe you didn't run this past year, this current year, 2020, there were some major changes to the marathon course. And the very first change you'll see is that you actually run. If you remember the old course, basically you started outside Epcot in the big corrals, and basically you just run down the road and you run about 5 miles and you just run straight to Magic Kingdom, just like the half marathon course. You run straight to Magic Kingdom. You're entering Magic Kingdom right after the 5 mile marker. The 5 mile marker was always right in front of, when you make the turn in front of the Contemporary to go to the Magic Kingdom, right there is where 5 miles was. You run through the Magic Kingdom. You come out on the other side of the Magic Kingdom, and you're at mile 6. Okay, I'm going to take this by pieces. Now, instead of doing that, instead of leaving Epcot going straight to the Magic Kingdom, you start in the same place, but you run out in front of Epcot, and then you take a left. When you get up when you pass where everyone enters into Epcot, where all the ticket center, the little parking center, when you pass that, you make a U-turn and you run just like you would be driving your car into Epcot and down that main road that leads right to the front entrance of Epcot. You run down through there. In fact, mile 2 is directly in front of Epcot. You're running down the main little road straight towards the entrance to Epcot, and then you take a right and you kind of go backstage in Epcot, and then you just run straight. You come in the back of Epcot, back there around Soaring. You run around that, then you come in, and you just run straight across where the World Showcase is. You just run straight across. You don't go around the World Showcase. You just run straight across the very front of it, and then you go right back out the back of Epcot over there near where Test Track is, and you run backstage. You come back out onto the road, and you end up on the exact same road that the corrals are on. The difference now is that you are going to be when you pass the corrals, you're going to be 4.5 miles into the race. So basically, you've added 4.5 miles onto the race. So now, when you're entering Magic Kingdom, instead of being at mile 5, you're at mile 10, which is a big difference. I'll just tell you that it is. Those first 4 miles are very underwhelming. I mean, it's you're backstage a lot. You just run straight through Epcot. There's not a lot of fanfare. I got to say, it's better than just being out on the road, but it's not as good as the other times that you're in the park, in my opinion. But what I did like getting to, when you get to Magic Kingdom, now you're at mile 10 instead of mile 5. It felt a little bit better to enter Magic Kingdom, and you're in double digits now. So you swing on through. The course is exactly the same going through Magic Kingdom. You come out of Magic Kingdom and get back there. You're on Cone Alley. You know where Cone Alley is? That's when you come out of the back of Magic Kingdom, and then you come straight down just this long road that has cones right down the middle of it. One of the most congested places on the course, because it's just one lane of road that you're running on. But you swing up past the Grand Floridian, and you come out. But now, when you come out and you pass all of the resorts, and before you make the turn to head towards Animal Kingdom, you're at the halfway point. So where you used to be at mile 8, now you're at mile 13, and you're leaving the Magic Kingdom parking lot. So you're halfway done when you leave the Magic Kingdom parking lot, and that's a big difference from. It used to be the halfway point was inside of Animal Kingdom. That's where the halfway point was. So you run the same road. You run over to the Animal Kingdom, and you get over there into the Animal Kingdom. Like I said, this time, instead of being at mile 13 coming out of the Animal Kingdom, when you exit the Animal Kingdom this time, you're already past mile 17. So you now's where the big change that everybody was wanting to know how they like this change. It used to be when you came out of, and it was, in my opinion, the worst part of the marathon course up to this year, was you would leave the Animal Kingdom and you would get out on Osceola Parkway, and you would basically, when you got out on the road, when you left Animal Kingdom, about mile 14 all the way to mile 17, you were just on a boring road, just a long road. You would run 3 miles, and that getting to mile 17, that would bring you to the entrance of the Wide World of Sports, which I absolutely hated. The most boring part of the course, in my opinion, and gosh, it was just, you were in there for 3 miles. From mile 17 to mile 20, you were inside the Wide World of Sports, and it was just, you just snaked around inside of there, and it was just, in my opinion, it was just brutal. Well, now, again, instead of mile 17 being the entrance to the Wide World of Sports, when you're at mile 17 now, you're leaving the Animal Kingdom. And you run backstage, you run in behind Expedition Everest, and then you snake back out basically you come in, you go out the way you came in, and then you make a turn. Okay, mile 19, you're making a turn, and you're heading over towards Blizzard Beach. And so you're coming down. You'll come down. Coronado Springs will be over on your left. The resort, if you know Western Way is the road that you're on. So now you're at mile 19, and you're heading down Western Way, and you're heading towards Blizzard Beach. Then you go on up. You take a ride into Blizzard Beach. You really just run through Blizzard Beach. A little bit underwhelming in there. There's not a lot of you're getting to run through it. I don't want to minimize that. It's better than just running on the road, but you do hit Blizzard Beach. Now, when you come out of Blizzard Beach, you're at you're mile 21 and a half, 22, and you're heading towards Hollywood Studios. And so you've got this thing pretty much whipped at that point. You head from there, you head straight over to Hollywood Studios. You just zip through Hollywood Studios real quickly, and then everything's the same from that point. You just run down by the canal, run over there near the boardwalk in front of the beach club, straight into Epcot, run around World Showcase, and then when you come through World Showcase, there you do turn now. You don't run down past the ball now. And I don't know if that'll change or not based on construction in Epcot, but they actually take you backstage, and there's a little bit of a detour from the past, but you finish in the same spot, but there's a little bit of a detour right at the very end. So a lot of big changes. The biggest one, well, the biggest two would be you're going through Epcot at the very beginning, and basically you're just kind of burning some miles.
Mm-hmm.
You're just burning some miles. You get to Magic Kingdom at mile 10 now. You're halfway there. When you're leaving the Magic Kingdom parking lot, you're halfway there. You're at mile 13, and then like I said, you head over to Animal Kingdom. Coming out of Animal Kingdom, I think it's better. I've been asked this question a lot of, is the coming out of the Animal Kingdom, is Western Way, Blizzard Beach, do you think that was better than the long run on Osceola Parkway and Wide World Sports? I think it is. Honestly, it's not real exciting. You're out on Western Way. It's just like being out on Osceola Parkway. It's just a road. And Blizzard Beach is, it's different, but, it's not real exciting. So, I don't think, and again, my bias is against Wide World Sports. I hated running through Wide World Sports. I just hated it. But so I think that is a plus. One thing this past year, and it was just a logistical nightmare at the very beginning, and the races actually moved up. The half and full were starting at 5 a.m. instead of 5:30. They had an issue, but since you run the marathon through Epcot at the beginning now, they had we ended up starting 30 minutes late because the buses were coming in, and because they had some transportation issues, because the buses were still coming into the park. They couldn't start the race because there were buses,
conflicts with the buses. Yeah.
Where we were going to be running. So I'm sure, as Disney always do, that they'll get that ironed out, and that'll be much better for the next rendition. But the new course, I'm assuming the course will stay the same.
Now there's a link that we'll share.
Yeah,
on the new course.
Link on the course, that the current course. Now, if there's any changes to it for this year, which I wouldn't anticipate there would be, we'll share those later. But yeah, that's the gist of the new course. I think I like it better than the old course. I wish the run through Epcot at the beginning, I wish there could be a little bit more excitement there. It just seemed kind of, like I said, it just seemed like they were just trying to get some miles in before we go. But, it is what it is for the first time. I like not going through Wide World Sports. So all in all, I think it's an improvement over the previous course, taking out that long run from Animal Kingdom to the Wide World Sports and through there. But we'll see what if they make any improvements for the next year or what they do.
Okay. Well, here we are, last of May, 1st of June. What do folks need to be doing right now to get ready for the Dopey Challenge?
Yeah, I think, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a series of these this year. We'll do one every month, and during that month, I'll tell you where I think you need to be at that point, and just give you some tips and some other things. We'll talk about touring strategies and all those other kind of things in the later parts of the series. But right now, when people ask me about preparing for the Dopey Challenge, I tell them I think you should be able to comfortably run a half marathon, by the end of June. And when I say comfortably, I don't mean that it should be easy, but you should be able to go out and run a half marathon and it not kill you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives you the right base to be able to start doing that. If you're not following a particular plan, if you don't have a coach, if you don't have anything like that, Jeff Galloway provides a free plan on the Run Disney site. That it's the Run, Walk, Run method. Like I said, we're hoping to be able to have him on the podcast. But it's the Run, Walk, Run method where it basically gets you to the point, especially if you're a first timer, of being able to complete these races without injuring yourself. I think you need to. I said this last year when we were doing a podcast talking about Dopey, of don't underestimate it and don't overestimate it. Don't underestimate the gravity of what you're taking on. I mean, it is a lot of running, a lot of pounding, 4 mornings of getting up super early,
mm-hmm.
talking 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a big deal. So don't underestimate it. But we're in June now. You have plenty of time to train, and if you'll just be consistent day after day after day, you'll be surprised at how not easy, but how manageable these races are. So I would just encourage you. I think you need to be at a point where you can run a half marathon by the end of June. You need to be there now. Now hear me. If you haven't been running at all, don't go out and run 13 miles tomorrow after you listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Start building up now. You can catch up, but that's just a good barometer to go by. And I think you need to be, you need to be looking at, what are your, you need to look out into, some races. And I know it's really tough right now, but Proof of Time is due in October. And what the Proof of Time is if you're going to try to be seated in a corral, then you will have to submit a Proof of Time for the last 2 years of
mm-hmm.
at least a half marathon.
Okay.
Or if you're doing the Dopey Challenge, that's important. It may be even more important this year if there's a drastic reduction in the numbers of people. And why would that matter? Well, if you've got 20,000 people in a race, the balloon ladies, that's what end up getting you swept. Those are the people that start the race dead last. They're not official Disney employees, but they're runners that walk with balloons, and they walk at that 16-minute per mile pace.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get behind them, you're in danger of being swept off the course.
Day may be over.
Yeah, well, and so Proof of Time, let's say you end up in C corral or D corral. You're going to have a buffer between yourself and the balloon ladies if something were to go wrong and you were to have an issue on the course. So I would encourage you to find a race. And I know it's tough now with so many race cancellations, but if you can find a half marathon to be able to run before October to get a good Proof of Time in, the further up you are in corrals is always the better. So that would be the other things that I think you need to do right now. Like I said, we're going to do a series, and so we'll be back in July with step 2 of talking more about the Dopey Challenge and start looking out at all the different aspects of it, which are many. But on this first one, we wanted to cover new marathon course and what are the things you need to do right now. And I think you need to be in that spot of being able to run about 13 miles by the end of this month. That's where I think you need to be able to really jump into your training plan in July. Go over to RunDisney.com. Jeff Galloway's got a plan there. We'll be giving some tips. We'll actually be doing some videos of some things and some different running techniques and some cool stuff to be able to help you along your way. So we will be back in the first week of July. Before July 4th, we'll have number 2 of the Run Disney and Dopey for 2021 series. But I would just encourage you now to get out there and be pounding the pavement, guys. You don't want to get behind, because it's really hard to catch up when you're taking on something as big as a Dopey Challenge. It's hard to get caught up with that. So don't get behind. Just day after day, be consistent. And when you get to the start line of that Dopey Challenge in 2021, you'll be ready, and you'll know you've done everything you can to be able to take this challenge on head first.
Yeah, and look back through our episodes that we've done in the past year, and we've got plenty of training guides in those, and also Kevin's talk more about the Run Disney weekend too on some of those. So I encourage you to look back and thumb through some of those and listen to those too.
Absolutely. You can go over to, we got a YouTube channel, Do Hard Things Today. We got a Facebook page, Do Hard Things Today. Nutrition, fitness, just free nutrition tips, that kind of thing, recipes, all kind of good stuff. We don't sell anything, but it's just a cool little thing we do. So for Hal Morris, it's Kevin Harrison. We'll be back in the beginning of July with number 2 in the Dopey and Run Disney series. And always remember, if you'll do the hard things today, tomorrow will take care of itself.